Jason Baffrey, we are live, sir.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Coach Talk TV, where we believe that coaching and coaches are an essential part of human development. You'll learn how having a guide in your own personal development can change your life, improve your relationships, and enhance your work experience. I'm Jason Baffrey. This is Rhonda Boyle. You are watching Coach Talk TV, where we have coaching conversations that matter. Good morning.
Yes, we do. Good morning, Jason Baffrey. Good to see you. And we are late. Hey, better late than never, right? Techie blah blah on the back end. You know what? Hashtag first world problems.
Right.
I'm always going with the first world problems issue. And you know what else I found out?
What's that?
Of course, I really don't know what it means, but we are in the middle of the Mercury retrograde. Some of you woo-woo people might know what that means. Anyway, we sure are glad to be here today. And, I was thinking with all of our techie blah blah issues,
Right.
that and especially with our guest today, Dr. Kelly Whelan, I was thinking, maybe she's a psychologist doctor and could talk to us about staying calm when you have problems, leadership issues. But she's a doctor of strategic leadership. And so she probably won't be able to help us with that.
Well,
no, she might. But you know what? It is interesting because I do believe that your leadership skills come forward during times of stress, or at least I hope they do.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that they would have to, especially, in those tense situations. That's when you are really, well, I guess it could go either way. I mean, you're either apt to shine or you're apt to fall apart in a situation like that. But if you understand your strengths and have a basic understanding of how you work and how you work with your team, then that's your opportunity to rise up and be a leader in those areas.
Yeah, I know. And it's sometimes you have to think quick on your feet, right?
Yeah.
I think coaching really helps in that regard because you get to have someone neutral to kind of walk through perhaps past situations so you can understand what you did before and
Sure.
then make a plan for the future. Here's what I know, Jason, based on our experience, is that when we have techie blah blah problems, I just need to breathe. That's it.
Yeah, and some of that is also experiential. You are, well, I mean, I think your strengths lend to a little bit of that, but also experiences. I've come from a live TV background, so that last minute, tense, we're not quite ready yet, but when we have 30 seconds to go is something that I'm more familiar with probably, and so
I'm now familiar with it. Thank you.
you are now.
I know.
But yeah, I think a lot of that comes from experience. And so the longer that you're in a position, and hopefully you don't have to deal with those types of issues on a regular basis, but
yeah, hopefully not. So, hey, you guys, thanks for joining us. We're happy to have you here today. And just a little bit of housekeeping. If you want to chat and be, comment, we'd love to hear your comments. And we can pop you up on the screen just like that. If you will go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and do all that permission-y stuff. And then you can always find us and our replays at Coach Talk TV.
Yeah, on the Facebook page, and also if you go to our YouTube channel, we encourage you to do that and be sure to subscribe and hit the little ring bell to be able to be notified when we have a new show coming. And so you can watch all of the previous shows there. And also, if you're more apt to listen to your information as you're driving down the road, we are on all of your favorite podcasting platforms. So iTunes, Google, Spotify, and a whole lot more. You can go to anchor.fm/Coach Talk TV and find all of the different channels. But we're on quite a few of them now.
I know. And you know what else? We can stream through Alexa. She's sitting here by me. She's going to go, what do you want?
All right.
Yes. If you're connected to Apple Podcast, you can see she's saying, sorry, I don't know that one. Anyway.
Yeah, that would be the same way if you have the Google Home or something like that that connects to Apple Podcast or Google Podcast. You could probably pull up the show that way too, and then just say, hey Alexa, or hey Google, I want to listen to Coach Talk TV.
Yeah, there you go. You can enable the Apple Podcast, and then we're on there. Isn't that exciting? Who wants our autograph? How about our kids? My kids don't want my autograph. And you know what? This came up last night at dinner with my grandboy, and he wanted to watch YouTube. And I said, Grammy's on YouTube. Look. And I pulled up the channel, and he went, so I don't want that. I mean, crushed me as I'm over here trying to become rich and famous. Just kidding.
My son's still pretty impressed when he can see me on YouTube. He's like, Dad, you're on YouTube. That's really cool.
No, that's nothing to a 5-year-old, apparently.
Well, he'll grow into it, I guess.
I know. Well, hey, we need to move on and get this show on the road. We're so glad that you joined us because we are thrilled beyond measure to introduce you to Dr. Kelly Whelan. So let me tell you a little bit about her. For over 20 years, Dr. Kelly has helped develop confident leaders, teams, and organizations. She has the ability to work cooperatively across diverse environments with all levels of leadership. She is a doctor of strategic leadership and a Gallup certified strengths coach. She has a new book out. It's called Leadership Excellence by Design, Strategies for Sustainability and Strength, which explores permission and purpose-filled leadership practices. Kelly, Dr. Kelly, come on up. There she is.
Hello and good morning.
Good morning. So good to see you. Now you are in Florida, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct. I reside in Naples, Florida, so Southwest Florida.
Wow.
Home of the swamp buggy races.
Yeah, you are correct. I have never attended.
What the heck is a swamp buggy? I don't even know what that is.
We don't have a show long enough to go into that. But,
Jason would have to cue us in on what that is.
I'll let you know sometime. We'll do a special show.
Yeah, he's got some of these risky things he likes to do with motor tools, and I don't know. So Kelly, Dr. Kelly, I'm so glad that you have joined us. And so let's just start off. I want to ask, how does someone become a leader? First of all, fill us in on that.
Yeah, that's a great question, because how does someone become a leader? So many times people do need permission to be called leader and to step into the role of leadership, and so, I would love to just ask, you and Jason to just consider a couple questions. So say we're just sitting down having coffee or your beverage of choice, and I ask the question, do you consider yourself a leader? What would your answer be? And I would love for, those listening, whether it's live or to the recorded version, just to give yourself permission to answer that question honestly.
Wow. My first answer is yes. I am a leader. I do believe I am a leader, and I don't lead everything. There are plenty of places in my life where I let somebody else lead, but I would say that yes for myself, but I know a lot of people would not.
Yeah, that's true. What about you, Jason?
I think that yes, not on a regular basis, but I know that I certainly step into that role in situations. So I may not be necessarily working as a leader now. I have in the past, and sometimes it's hard to think of myself in those terms. But I mean, I certainly feel that I have the capabilities to do that when the need arises, or when the need arises.
Yeah, and that's so interesting, that we do step into that role, and instead of looking at leadership as that we are always a leader. And so really today, we know that, based historically, that, leaders used to be considered that you were born a leader, but it is no longer the case. We have all these theories that have just evolved over time that tell us that, leadership is not just for a select few, but it is for all. And when we think about that, we want to think about words to describe leader. So again, if I were to ask you guys, who is a leader that maybe when you think about that created an impact in your life for their leadership, what would you say is maybe one or two words that would describe that leader?
Not who they are, but what they did.
Yes.
I believe for me, I would say a leader would bring clarity.
Okay.
That would be the first thing that I would say.
Yes, having a strategy. I think also being an exhorter, if you will, being able to lift up a team, and but certainly having a strategy, focus, that sort of thing.
Someone who listens.
Yeah. And so let's travel on that same road with you too. And how about giving me a word or two that describes you?
Besides noisy.
Curmudgeon.
I think it's difficult to describe yourself as a leader, isn't it?
Let's just settle on a word or two that just describes you. If we were to take leader out of context, let's just say you as a person, one or two words that describe you.
For me, bold, innovative. Yes, that would be like ideas, a fresh outlook on things, problem solver through ideas.
Yes. And what about you, Mr.
Oh.
Baffrey?
Thinker, capable, adaptable.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these are all words that when you make a connection of whether or not somebody allows themselves permission to be a leader, the words that you've described are words that describe a leader. So we want to make sure, so we want to make sure to always be making that connection that regardless of your role, if you're on a hierarchy chart or not, if you could be a mom or dad, you are leading your family. If you are on a volunteer team, you are leading. And so let's not discount the impact that you have as a leader, because today I'm giving you permission. If you answered no to that, are you a leader? Do you consider yourself a leader? Today I'm giving you permission to step into leadership and the role of leadership right where you are. Because we know that based on research, and I always love kind of linking Dr. Kathleen Patterson and Dr. Bruce Winston's research on the integrative definition of leadership, where they unpacked leader and leadership, and they came up with over 90 dimensions of leadership, and this is based on the characteristics, skills, and behaviors of leaders. And so when we think about that, how can we possibly expect a leader to be a one or two sentence definition that maybe they get out of a textbook? And that's something that I believe people really need to wrap their minds around when they're considering what leadership is and who they are as a leader.
I love that, because I agree with you. Everyone is a leader at all times. It's just that what are you leading and where are you leading right now in this moment? And so I want to explore this a little bit more when we come back after we let everyone know about our sponsor today.
Hey, are you still looking for that perfect job? Have you ever wondered how to get a raise or a promotion, but you're not sure how? Maybe you're looking for a total career change, or you're trying to reinvent yourself after retirement. We have great news. It's 2020. It is your year, and it is not enough just to live. We deserve to thrive in all areas of our lives. And Coach Talk TV is all about connecting you to a coach that can get you to the next level of your journey. And the place that you can go to find that coach is soar.com. That's SOAR.com. All of your coaching needs can be found right there. So go check it out.
There you go. Soar.com. Grateful for them. So, Dr. Kelly, do you feel like most people struggle with this? I mean, I know that Jason and I, you set us up because we didn't know you were going to ask us these questions. But I'm just curious if it's been your experience that most people deny their leadership initially.
Well, and that's interesting that you say that, because yes, initially, but then I have had conversations with C-suite executives and they deny their leadership. Research again tells us approximately 80% of people self-select out of leadership. So just imagine an organization who, or an individual who has, climbed through the ranks. They're finally CEO. They get there and they find out that I really don't want to be CEO. So imagine the impact not only on the organization, but that individual. Because really, when you step into leadership, it is an amazing dynamic where, it can be hard. It can be overwhelming. There are challenges that leaders have, especially senior leaders who are leading organizations, or entrepreneurs who are, starting their organizations or are growing their organizations.
Mm-hmm. Well, what a perfect opportunity for coaching.
Yes.
Yes. And this is, everybody needs a coach. And I'm thinking about when people do step into leadership initially, that can be overwhelming. So many different dynamics that are in there coming from, stepping into a brand new, perhaps a brand new company. Or maybe you're suddenly elevated to managing your peers. That can cause issues.
Yeah.
Or you're just the Nicky new guy and you feel you've got such a learning curve at the beginning, because I'm pretty sure that when you step into a leadership role like a CEO or C-suite executive, that they hand every one of the little fires to you right when you walk in the door. Would that be true?
That would be true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And
that,
I feel, I had an opportunity. It's been about 20 years ago that I was in a position, and then they made me general manager of where I was. And I thought it was great. It was great experience, but I can look back on that now and I feel like I did so many things wrong. I don't want to say that I wasn't prepared for that, but I just didn't have the wisdom and the understanding that I have now. I certainly didn't have any kind of strengths-based understanding to be able to look at my team. And, I feel like I did almost everything wrong in so many ways. So, when people are thrust into what could be a really good opportunity for them, how can they avoid, getting into those pitfalls or making those mistakes?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, leaders need to be learners. And, when you can connect yourself with a coach and, oh dear, hold on just a second, guys. I lost you there for a minute. My computer went to sleep.
We see you. We see you and hear you.
Awesome. And so leaders definitely are learners. And you're right. Sometimes leaders are thrust into positions that they may not be prepared for. And so that is an opportunity for leader development. And that can be leader development through, partnering with a coach and being able to really unpack some of the things that are necessary in that leadership role. And so, leaders need to manage their power. They need to be, have this service in action. And so really understanding what your role is, how you can serve your people best, as an organization as a whole, but then trickling down to those divisions, to those managers, frontline employees, and even, how that unpacks with how are you demonstrating your leadership with your vendors, so the external environment as well.
Wow, sure. So much to consider for
Yes.
leaders. And I loved what you said that leaders need to learn how to manage their power.
Yes.
Because sometimes that can be really, it can cause a lot of anxiety, but it can also cause, a change in behavior towards a negative kind of, like if you don't understand your real power, a leader can become aggressive and have some of those negative things.
It's the dark side of
The
leadership.
dark side.
I've certainly had the opportunity. I've worked with leaders that I can now look back and go, they didn't handle that very well. And I have worked under leaders that have been, I think excellent and really, not to say that they didn't have faults, but they were very mindful, strategic, like I said, very supportive. And, working in an environment like that is so vastly different than being under a leader who is tyrannical in some ways.
Yes, yeah, and we really need to be, staying away from that dark side. And so many times, when I speak about excellence and excellence in the book, it's about really going above and beyond. It's giving more than taking. It's about being more than adequate. And it's not, and I'm going to be very clear, and I know I'm going to be speaking to somebody here when I say excellence is not perfection. So if you are in a leadership
role, I think you're talking to me. I heard it.
I am a recovering perfectionist, so I can say it with confidence that I realize that we are not created to be perfect. And so if you think that you are going to hire a perfect leader or you are going to be a perfect leader, I am here to interrupt that thinking and say, let's step into excellence. Because when we think about perfection, we think about fear, we think about overwhelm, we think about frustration, right? All those negative words. And then when we step into excellence, it's about being encouraging. Yes, there is risk to being, leading with excellence, but it's also about acceptance and a willingness to fail and to fail forward. So there's a distinct difference between perfection, no, and excellence, yes. So we want to be able to really step into excellence and look at excellence as a leadership style. And so with so many different styles of leadership, all I'm asking for leaders to consider is to truly have a mindset shift and be able to say, okay, well, do I know what excellence is? And if I do, that's part of leading with excellence. Am I being excellent? So is it within me? Do I have virtuous behaviors to be excellent? And then what am I doing? So how am I walking out that excellence in my leadership?
Wow. I loved what you said. Excellence is about acceptance and a willingness to fail.
Imagine.
There's that word that people hate, that failure. Now, I really don't have a problem. I have had my whole life a philosophy that I am making mistakes as fast as I can. So,
get them over with.
So I think that is something that really has allowed me to not get overwhelmed and to stay, just accept wherever we are. I haven't always done that.
Yeah.
And I don't always do it today.
And I feel like there are quite a few people now that are starting to embrace that. I'm seeing more and more things posting up online about, embracing your failures and everything. And I actually did a talk about that not too long ago, about embracing your failures and talking about Edison and some of the other great failures in history. But, we're seeing more and more training, I think, pop up surrounding that and getting people to change that mindset a little bit.
Yeah. What would we do if we didn't have the Post-it note? I mean, that was a failed attempt. And now we have the Post-it note. We have that great sticky pad that we put all over the place. So
Right.
it's okay to fail.
Yeah, I don't think I know that story. I'm going to have to check into that.
Yes, it's wonderful.
Well, and I do think though that, you look at people like the Colonel Sanders with Kentucky Fried Chicken. He went to a ridiculous amount of stores to try to, like, I don't know, 5,000 or something. Like, it was a bunch, and it took him years. And he finally hit with Kentucky Fried Chicken. So that's that fail forward concept is I do believe it's becoming, I won't say norm, but I think acceptable.
Mm-hmm. Let's give people permission to fail.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Let's allow innovation to happen through failed attempts.
Yes. I think there is, what it takes though, in order to be okay with failing forward, is going to be leaders who allow their people to fail forward. And the way they're going to do that is to fail forward themselves. Like, model that. Wow, that didn't work. What can we do next? What do we really want? And that's where you are willing to try something, even if it doesn't work.
Absolutely. So, everything starts at the top. Everything. You have to lead by example. Senior leaders need to exhibit that and then embrace failure. And that demonstration of a failed attempt, and for a leader to be okay and to say, you know what, I screwed up, or, no, it didn't work out as planned, but what's plan B or what's plan C?
Sure.
And you just keep going until you get it right.
Wow. Great information. So how about if we come back, I want to talk about building teams and leadership around teams and organizations when we get back. Let's hear from our next sponsor, Jason.
Oh, I hate it when that doesn't work. Oh, here you go. If you're a parent, you know that parenting is hard. Kids do things that we don't understand, that we see as problematic, but it's really our own inability to understand how they're functioning that is the real issue. There is hope. The new Incredible Kids Assessment is now available for parents to find the joy in parenting again. Learn the secret to unlocking your child's potential, gain a better understanding of who your child is, and how to parent to their unique gifts. If you're ready to understand yourself, your children, how to guide them to success, go to facebook.com/Baffrey Coaching, send us a message, and we will send you a link to take the Incredible Kids and Incredible Parents Assessment.
Hey, there you go. Baffrey Coaching, that's you and your lovely wife, Katie. Yeah. Hey, we've got a great question here, Dr. Kelly. Diane is asking, what is something you do to help a leader build confidence to give themselves permission to lead? Great question.
Yeah, that is. Thanks, Diane, for that question. Yeah, there are so many things that we can do, but first, courage comes before being confident. And so really giving people permission, A, to lead, A, to maybe step into some of those areas that have been difficult for them, and really cultivating that courage first and foremost, so they can become confident. And sometimes that's as simple as just role playing within a coaching session that can, bring out some renewed self-awareness, some insight for the client leader, for them to move forward into whatever that struggle could be that they're trying to, or challenge that they're trying to get through.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And, having a safe space, this is where I really want to talk about coaching for just a minute, because creating a safe, that's what coaches do, is they create a neutral, safe space for you to explore some of these things. Like, for example, Kelly works with teams and leadership and executive coaching. And so that's a perfect space for people who are in that environment, to come in and have build a coaching relationship so that
Yes.
you have someone who you can be transparent and authentic with about whatever the situation is that you're in. It's just really become today, I think, Dr. Kelly, don't you, that coaching has become essential, especially in the executive leadership level.
It is essential, and I would really go step into saying that it is a sacred space where coaching takes place, because and when you're talking about a C-suite of leaders, I love that in organizations there can be internal coaches, and they do have their place, and they're very important to have within organizations. But then there are the external coaches who are able to come in for, especially senior leaders, where they may not want to divulge certain information to an internal coach. So it's important for them to have somebody who is external to come in and be able to unpack some of the things that are important and meaningful to them in their leadership, in order to provide them with support, and the support that they need to move forward as a leader.
Wow. Coaching is a sacred space. That coaching relationship, it becomes that sacred space. I love that terminology for me, because it is that space where you can be authentic. Because let's face it, in corporate leadership, particularly when you get into, certain roles and positions, there becomes some political, juggling, and it's not always safe. Right? I
You're
mean, it's just
correct.
not. Let's just at least start there and admit that. And then how do we solve that issue? And that is definitely through a coaching situation, I think, because we are bound in an ethical way
Yes, we
to
are.
maintain confidentiality.
It is
So,
very high on my priority list, as
yeah,
well as all professional coaches. We have to abide, by standards if we are
mhm.
to call ourselves coach.
We do for sure. Now, help us understand the secret sauce to building high performance teams.
The secret sauce. There is a recipe for building high performance teams.
Good.
But first, we need to understand, what is a team? And a team is a collection of people who come together with a common purpose, common vision, common goal. And we can look at a team, if we take a really high view of it, and we can look at a team as an organization as a team. And then we can look, at divisions as teams, and so on and so forth. And so when we think about teams and a common purpose, we also want to think about what is a united front. How are teams creating unity? And that secret sauce begins right there. You can have a common purpose, and you can know coming onto the team, what the goal of the team is. But if you are not united, then you are going to be in troubled waters. So we want to make sure that this beautiful collection of people who are individuals coming together, and I always like to kind of unpack it for people as a jagged edge team. And so the jagged edge, we know, if you're familiar with Clifton Strengths in one of their books, the jagged edge is mentioned in one of their books. And so when I think of teams, and when I unpack it for teams, to have kind of a way for them to visualize what a team is if you have an artist, and they are going to create a beautiful creation, a mosaic. So we know that mosaics are made out of like clay, tile, glass, could be any type of material. And then they take an instrument, typically a hammer or something else, and they crack the clay pot or the glass or the tile, and they end up with all these jagged edges. And so our teams are made up of all these jagged edges, and we don't need to smooth away these jagged edges. We want people showing up with their authentic self. We want people coming together, doing what they do best. And the Clifton Strengths assessment is a wonderful tool to invite people into their authentic self, into a strengths-based approach to building leaders, to assemble around a common purpose, to be put together in that beautiful orchestration of jagged edges, to then be able to produce as a team.
Mm-hmm. Wow, we have a great comment or question actually coming in from Diane. She wants to know, how does being a strengths coach assist? Because you're a doctor, right? A PhD, and then also a Gallup certified strengths coach. How does that help you in building a team and unity? She's wanting to know.
Yeah.
Great question, Diane. Thanks.
Thanks for the question. Yeah. So really assembling those jagged edges is done. The work is done within the teamwork, and there are some tools that Gallup has, as well as other tools that we use in order to create that. A lot of it is visual. A lot of it is really unpacking for people to be recognizing what their strengths are, to be recognizing those strengths in others, and to actually be calling them out. And when you bring yourself to the talent table, when you are able to say, this is who I am, this is my authentic self, this is how I can raise my hand and say yes to a task and do it well, then we are serving our organizations. There we are serving our teams well. And there we're showing up instead of, the whole social loafing, only, 10% of the team is doing the work and 90% aren't. When we craft a jagged edge team, we are able to build that confidence within a team that I know, that Rhonda's going to come to the table and do X, Y, Z, or Jason's going to come to the table and do X, Y, Z. And together we are going to just create this masterpiece.
Jason, I think we've got some jagged edges.
Yes, definitely.
But you know what, Jason and we actually have been able to consider, because I'm a Gallup certified also, and I have dragged him. I mean, I've invited him into coming into, understanding more about this. And so we've been working together for 5 years now. Right, Jason? That's crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, this is our third project together, and we know how to work together because we understand where we're going to trip up. In fact, I was sharing with you that we're changing some of our format coming up in April because we've solved it through a strengths-based approach, recognizing where our limitations are and where we're not thinking in that way. We're always going to go this way just because of how we're wired. It's our first thought, And so I think that bringing a strengths coach into an organization and a team can be a powerful thing because they do help you raise your awareness of what it is your people are trying to contribute.
Yes.
Everybody, that's all we want. Don't you think all we want is to give and serve and play and work in ways that are innate within us, meaning we don't think about it. So when you see somebody on your team doing that thing they do,
we need to embrace it.
Yeah, instead of getting annoyed, it's like, wow, there it is again. They're doing it again, huh? Mm-hmm. It's getting curious.
Yes, let's stay curious and let's allow people to show up, because we are spokes on a wheel when we think about teams. We think about, the tire as the organization. We think about, the rim, and that needs to be strong, and it's strong through those spokes, and each team member is a spoke on a wheel. And then you have the hub of the wheel, which is, the coach who, can help facilitate, the team through those things. And if you take out a spoke or two, you're going to have a faulty wheel. And if that wheel isn't strong, somebody can get hurt. And we want to have strong teams for organizations.
Well, we need them. We
do. We do.
Wow.
So Dr. Kelly, if there's an organization that is looking to hire a new coach, what are some of the things that they really need to be looking for? I know you've touched on several different things throughout our time together, but can you give us some key elements that an organization needs to look for in hiring a coach?
Yeah, first of all, organizations need to understand what coaching is and isn't.
Hold on a second. We're hearing a fuzzy something coming from your mic, maybe.
I think she was shuffling.
How's that?
Okay, that's better.
Okay, great. Yeah, I was I lost you for a minute.
Okay.
My computer keeps going
So
to
we're
sleep.
talking
It's
about
like,
the key
geez,
elements.
am I putting my computer to sleep there? So yes, they need to understand what coaching is and isn't. So many times, they say, oh, we need to, call in a coach. And sometimes what organizations need is they need a coach, but they may also need somebody who can facilitate that team environment like we talked about, because team coaching is definitely different than individual coaching. There's individual coaching within teams, but then the team dynamic needs more than one coach. And so we want to make sure that organizations understand that you can have, like we talked about earlier, you can have an internal coach, but is an internal coach enough? Do you need an external team to come in to help with your team, with your organization? We also need to think about what does success look like for whoever is sponsoring the coaching effort, and that will tell what type of coach you need to come in. The fit needs to be right for organizations. So we want to make sure that organizations are asking the questions, to their coaches, what type of teams or what type of individuals, what type of organizations have they worked with, what are some of maybe the certifications or the instruments that they use, and not to be afraid of asking, the questions, because a professional coach will be very honest with what they are and what they are not, and who perhaps you can refer them to. And so I think it's really important for organizations to do their homework, and it's up to professional coaches to help educate the organization, as well as the community as a whole, about what coaching is.
Right. Yeah. They really, coaches do need to educate their
Yes.
clientele or their potential clients. And I think that's something where we as coaches need to get better at. We need to get better at learning how to spread the good news,
That's right.
how to market ourselves personally. Jason and I are pushing this show out so that we can raise the awareness of what coaching is and how it can help an organization or an individual or relationships, business, families, whatever it is. And so I think that working together, and then if we can educate the companies, and the companies can make an educated decision
Yes.
on what they really want out of coaching, then it's looking like a perfect match, which can really impact in a positive way the bottom line.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think that becomes something that takes time to substantiate, but it always proves. We have reports and so forth we can share. So,
Yes.
wow, Dr. Kelly, we're so glad you came to hang out with us. I wish we had more time. We could just talk for hours, right,
Yes,
Jason?
it was
I could.
fun. Thank you so much.
So help us know or point our people to you. How can they find you?
Yes, well, on social media, you can find me at Dr. Kelly MG Whelan, or at Bellum Leaders, and I'll spell Bellum BELEM, and then Leaders. Our website is Bellum BELEM Leaders with an S.org for organization, and there you can find out more about what Bellum offers and our team of coaches. Yes.
Good. So bellumleaders.org. I popped some information. If you have anything else or an article or anything that you want. Oh, and absolutely link us to the book, because we want everybody to know about that too.
Okay,
so
I will certainly do that. It's on Amazon. Thanks so much.
Okay, we'll see you in the green room in a little bit.
All right.
Thanks, Dr. Kelly. Wow, she is so amazing.
Yeah.
And such good information about leadership and really helping people understand how to step into being the leader that they were born to be, because I really do believe, like she does, that we are all born to lead somewhere.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely. And yeah, she certainly caught me off guard with the questions early on. trying to define ourselves as leaders. So, but that was a good exercise to go through. So
It was great, and I wiggled myself in the chair. It doesn't take much. That doesn't happen very often, but it did. So, oh wow. Well, listen, we'll be back. I believe it's early next week with more shows, and we have.
Friday, aren't we?
Say again.
Or we're on Friday.
Oh, it is Friday.
Yeah,
It is with Nathaniel Small, right?
Yeah.
And so then you guys catch up with us on the replay or on, tell them where else, Jason.
Well, you can find us on YouTube. You can find us on the Facebook page, which is Coach Talk TV. Also, be sure to check out the podcast if you just want to listen to the audio or you're driving somewhere. And then you can find us on iTunes, Google Podcasts, and all of your other favorite podcasting sites like Spotify and Overcast and a whole lot more.
Yeah, and reach out. We'll give you an autograph.
Sure.
Okay, everybody. We will see you next time on Coach Talk TV. Thanks for joining us.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great week.
See ya.